Hey guys, a lot of people have been asking me how I'm making molds, the plastic worms and whatnot, so I figured I'd make a small little video. I've never done this before, so I'll probably stutter through most of it. But this is the stuff that I make it with. The glitters all here. I can show you the inside of it. Try to be careful with it because it goes everywhere, but you can see the different glitters. And each one of these bigger ones are all glitter, and then you got the Fire Tiger mix is real nice color in it. But then I've got my dyes and whatnot to change the color of the Plastisol, which is it's 1 quart. And then the 60-40 blend is just already blended Plastisol. Then the heat stabilizer, so the Plastisol doesn't burn while I'm heating it. Various softeners, and I got hardeners to make it harder, softer. Then the salt, it's really fine salt. It's not like table salt, it's like more like powder than anything. Then I got the effervescence, kind of gives a milky color to the plastic worm. And then after it's done, I treat it with different kind of flavorings and whatnot. This is garlic, I've got crawfish, coffee, stuff like that. But a lot of people throw away their plastic worms is really bad because animals eat them. They think that's a real bug and then they eat them. So save your plastic worms, at least throw them away. But what I do, I keep them because you can. This is some of the pour for my older brother's pour, but you can see them. I just cut them up into smaller chunks, and it makes it easier to heat them. They turn out. You can see I've got a bowl already ready. They turn out in little chunks, plastic worms. Probably didn't need that much, but let me put some of that back. But you can see it's just plastic. I'll get back to that. But these are some of the previous pours. This is my sister Tina's pour, and this is my older brother James's pour. And like I said, these are just plastic worms from everyday fishing. My molds, there are 3 different kinds that I use. This is a stone mold, and it makes a crawl. And you can see it's really fine detailed, and then it's got the nubs to line it back together. Then when we're pouring, we clamp it where it doesn't leak. Second kind of mold I got is these aluminum molds. You can see the sprue hole where the plastic comes in, and then the worm is from here down. But they come in swim baits. Let's see what else. This is my newest one. Is the lizard. I haven't poured this one yet. I've poured the others. Then the Yamamoto, worms, plastic worms. Then also have this one. It's sort of like the stone one, but just aluminum and a little bit more detail on it. But let me put this away. A little loud, sorry. And they're heavy too, so you don't want to smash your finger with it. The third kind of mold I got is called an open pour mold, and it's just made out of plastic, rubber, and you can see the detail of the scales inside of it. And the yellowing is just a coating to keep it from sticking when you pour it. And then these are the long-tail trick worms, ribbon tail, and the same thing. But these here do not use injector; they use just you pour it in. The injector I'll be using today is a smaller one. That's a 4 or 5 ounce injector, depending on how far you retract it. I did get a new toy in this week. It's my dual injector. As you can see, it's a little bit more thicker, and it's got 2 nozzles that comes out, and the handle. It's the same thing as a single, but it's a dual, and it injects the plastic into a block. This block, and what the block does, it brings the 2 different colors together where you get a multicolor worm, and they come out the sprue holes and into the mold like that. But I'll get to that. But I won't be using that today, and maybe some other time I might. But anyways, we can get started. I just use a regular microwave, and you microwave and you heat it up in increments of a minute, minute and a half each time. This is heat stabilizer to keep it from burning as it's heating. Because as they heat up, it tends to burn the plastic. So I'm going to mix it around a little bit. Then microwave. I usually try to go about a minute and a half. So while that's heating up, Lisa bought me some silverware, some cheap silverware, some measures for the different dyes and the different stuff in there. But yeah, save your old plastic worms and stuff. They come in handy. You can see it after it's melted down. You know, I'll reuse this 2 or 3 times until it's gone, and then I'll end up mixing it with another color. While this is heating up, I've got my temperature gauge, and then my bigger C-clamp, which I'll be using to clamp. Let's see, what's a good one for? Not the lizard. Just the frog. I'll pour the straw in this one, but I'll clamp it to this, just so it doesn't tip on me while I'm injecting it. Clamping is very important because the plastic will come out and squirt all over you, and it's really, really, really hot when it comes out. Something like 360 degrees. The microwave just went off, so open this. I don't have gloves on yet because it's not gotten that hot, but you can see it starting to get a little bit wet. You just want to stir it around. You can see them starting to melt. These are just regular plastic worms. There's nothing special about them. Just stuff that I bought at Cabela's and Bass Pro. So we give that a minute and a half. What I try to do is get it up to about 300, 350 degrees, or at least melt it. Whenever I pour fresh plastic, it has to go to 360, but whenever I'm reusing these, sometimes it doesn't have to get up that hot as long as it's liquid enough to be injected. But I'm outside. It's the first sunny day we've had in Indiana and warm enough to do this. My injector doesn't like injecting when it's cold. I can show you the injector. It's the end pops off, and you can see the piston that comes up. The piston just moves up and down, in and out, and then it comes through the sprue hole and into the injector. But it just sits on there and pushes it in, pretty much. Some people pull it up into it, but we've learned the last couple pours that it's easier to pour it into the injector instead of sucking it into it. But I'll be doing these two, and if I have enough, I'll try to do an open pour, one of these open pours, show you how that works. Don't know how much plastics we got. We'll have to see. I think the longest part is the heating the plastics up to a minute and a half each time. Yeah, it's starting to get a lot warmer. You can see down in here, it's liquid. You can see the smoke coming off, and you get a reading. Yeah, it's 340 degrees now, so we're good to go. We could probably just go ahead and pour it. Just mix it up real good. Try to let some of the air bubbles come out. I'm gonna wear gloves on this, my favorite gloves. Everybody, but it's if it gets on you, it'll burn you. It's really hot, and anyways, I'm gonna pour it into the injector real slow so I don't get it on me. try to get it all the way to the top. Next is the fun part. Pour a little bit off. But it's full now, so I just put it up in here and just start injecting. And let off a little bit and fill up the sprue hole. And then this smaller one, same thing. Oh, see how it busted out the bottom there? I think I need better clamps for this. But then I'm just clean this out like this. You can see where the plastic's inside. Clean it out. I'll do that later. This is the open pour. This is just a swim bait. Lisa's really good at this. My hands aren't real steady to do it, but I'll try. Oh, got a little bit extra. But you can see it's still liquidy and really, really hot. But it cools really fast. You can see I just poured that. It's already cooled. Almost plastic worm. But let me set some of this stuff to the side. Give this a second or two. You can see where the sprue is sucking in. What it's doing as it's cooling, it's sucking outside air into it, which is causing a vacuum, which makes it go down like that. Usually about a minute or two, and should be good to go. Yeah, definitely gonna need more clamps, better clamps. You can see where it comes out. But still, it's probably a good bait. It just needed some trimming on it. But let me release the clamp, and then test that. Yeah, it's cooled off. I'm pushing down, and you can see where it cracks the mold open a little bit. And there's your bait. It's you can see where it come into it at, and the head of it, and then you just pinch the top off and throw it back in there. You can remelt it back down again. And that's the end of it, and you just pull them apart just like you do in a brand new bag of worms. But there's a good bait there. Also, let's try this one. It's probably messed up because you can see it's poured out the side, but still good plastic, so you can remelt that down too. But let's see how she turned out. Still a good bait. She would just come in with scissors and trim. Not even that, look, it's just pulling right off. Well, I just broke it. But yeah, I'm gonna get better clamps and it won't happen, but you can see how it just tore loose. So yeah, it's a good bait up until I messed it up. But I'm gonna remelt it down and do another one. This is the open pour. You kind of like want to open it up a little bit. And yeah, it's still a little bit cold, hot. But yeah, that's pretty much my bait. Sometimes, you know, you usually get good pours, good baits out of them, but sometimes, you know, you just get a bad pour, or a clamp doesn't hold tight enough, or something happens. But yeah, about 90% of the time they throw good baits, and you can see it. I mean, the color in it and everything's there. You can see the glitter inside. But it's a real good bait. Nice crawl. It's got its tail and everything else. I think the difference between this crawl and the one there is it has the kicker tail on it. But I like it. I also have this one. I don't know if I showed y'all while that's cooling. It's the frog. And the plastic comes in here and it makes a frog on this side and a frog on that side. But it's really nice. It makes two at a time. As you can see it's hinged and it opens and closes. The same thing, you just clamp down it and let it go. Let's see how this turned out now. But you can see it. It's a nice swim bait, a little jerk bait. But yeah, so that's how I make plastic worms. I hope you understand it and everything. I'm not too good at this, but I might catch y'all next time when I go to do the dual injector. Let's see y'all.